When did you discover that the person who saved you wasn't finished with your story? I was 17 the night I died for the first time. At least that's what the doctor later told me. Clinically dead for 2 minutes. I don't remember much of the party itself. Just strobe lights, cheap vodka, someone's older cousin, bragging about real pills from Miami. I remember laughing, saying something stupid. Then everything dissolving into cold tiles and muffled voices. When I woke up days later, my mom was crying into a hospital tray of spaghetti. Nobody talked about the girl. Nobody even knew her name. The paramedics told police someone had performed CPR for nearly 8 minutes before they arrived. 8 minutes. Long enough for everyone else in that house to make a choice. Save a dying kid or save themselves from criminal charges. They chose themselves. Except one. A quiet girl from my chemistry class. The one who always wore her hair in tight braids and smelled vaguely of peppermint gum. Her name was something short. 3 letters. Or maybe that's just how I remembered it. Afterwards, she disappeared. Not metaphorically, literally. She withdrew from school 2 weeks later. Graduated early or transferred, people said. No forwarding info. No social media. It was like she'd been an extra in my life whose scene had ended and the script cut her out. But I didn't forget. I couldn't. For years, every time I saw CPR in a movie or walked past the aisle with first aid kits, I felt phantom hands pressing into my sternum. 8 minutes. Someone had pushed air into my lungs when they could have just walked away. I spiraled after high school. Rehab, relapses near overdoses. Then finally, at 21, a paramedic named Ron looked me in the eye and said, "If you want to pay this debt back, join us instead of paying rent to a coffin." That sentence stuck. 6 months later, I was an EMT. The first time a patient coded in our ambulance, my hands moved before my brain did. Compressions, breaths, rhythm, focus. For the first time since I was 17, I felt useful. Saving people doesn't feel heroic. It feels personal. It feels like revenge on the version of yourself that didn't get saved soon enough. By 28, I'd clocked hundreds of calls. Heart attacks, seizures, stabbings, overdoses, allergic reactions. I watched strangers die holding my hand and watched others wake up screaming for their phones. But every time I stabilized someone, I caught myself scanning the crowd, looking for braids and peppermint gum. I developed an obsession, but I never admitted it. Not to my partners, not to therapists, not even to myself. It all cracked the day we got dispatched to a retirement complex for a respiratory emergency. Elderly female. Possible aspiration. We arrived to find a woman in her 80s clutching her throat, panicking, gasping for air. I swept her airway, found the caramel lodged near her larynx, and cleared it. Oxygen stabilized her quickly. Routine call. Nothing heroic, but as I wrote the report, she stared at my badge. Not just glanced, stared. "What's your name?" she asked, voice hoarse. "Evan," I answered. Her eyes widened in a way I'd seen before on families who just recognized a miracle. Except there was no miracle here. Just a caramel and a suction device. "Evan Brooks?" she whispered. I froze. "Yes, ma'am." She smiled like she'd just remembered the ending to a story she'd forgotten to finish reading. "My granddaughter saved you," she said calmly. "She always wondered if you lived." My pen dropped out of my hand. For a second, I swear I forgot how lungs worked. "What did you just say?" "She was there that night at the Collins boys' house," the woman continued. "They ran." "She didn't." My chest tightened. 8 minutes, braids, peppermint gum. "She moved," the woman added. "Got her EMT license, too. Funny how that works. Saving one life made her want to save more." I think I laughed and sobbed at the same time. My partner stared at me, confused. I scribbled my number on the patient's discharge form like a lunatic. "Can you tell her I'm alive?" was all I managed. 2 weeks later, I was restocking the ambulance when someone cleared their throat behind me. I turned. There she was. Hair still braided. Still quiet. Still peppermint. "I heard you became one of us," she said. I didn't know what to say. I just nodded. "You saved a lot more than I did," she added. "You gave me the first one," I replied. "The rest just followed." She smiled. Not in a movie way, in a small human way. The kind that says, "I didn't expect this, but I'm glad it happened." We didn't hug. We didn't confess. We just stood there. Two people whose lives indirectly rewrote each other's scripts, finally sharing the same scene again.